10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Hello, Dash League. It is everybody's favorite caster and commentator. Yes, I'm everybody's favorite in both categories. No, you cannot question me about it. Notgollum, that's my full title. I'm going to be changing my name next Dash League season to that, and you all need to be keeping track of it. I'll have to write shorthand, to be fair, but regardless, we've got two very exciting teams to watch here in the match today. Over in the blue corner, we have Southern Cross. And in the red corner, we have Supernova. Southern Cross, I like to refer to them as the Thunder from Down Under. Supernova, the explosion. Going to be blasting their way into this first match. Of course, we are in Cycle 5 of Season 6, so the maps for you today are Launchpad, Volcano, and, if it comes down to it, a stadium. Southern Cross being a fully Pacific team, not a US-based, is going to be at a bit of a disadvantage on this first map. Classically, historically, Southern Cross is notorious, infamous, or famous, depending on who you ask, for their ability to play Launchpad. Of the three payloads, I think, at least as far as I can tell, that's by far their best one, but they're playing on a US-based server. You can see the ping, and I am in the US. The fact that it's green for me means it's going to be red for them. So, good pick by Supernova, playing on the home server for this first match. That does mean that when we get to map 2, to the Volcano, to the Domination, it will be heavily in Southern Cross's favor, ping-wise. So that'll be exciting to see. Southern Cross, though, going to have a little bit of an uphill battle, but when you have players on the roster like Axion, Universal, Crash Zone, Bueller, Rembrandt, you are going to be expecting some solid play here. And one thing to keep in mind, while they are at a heavy disadvantage because of the ping here, these guys are used to playing on very high ping servers way more often than any of the US teams, because they have to. They have to so often. And that might put Supernova on the little bit of a back foot in that one respect. They will still have the ping advantage on that server, but once we get to the Volcano, it's going to be completely switching things up. And it really will be a matter, I think, of how well Southern Cross is going to hold up in this first match, and how they can use their experience with playing at a ping disadvantage to play this map differently, adjust their style differently around what they might typically do when they have the ping advantage here for Launchpad. Volcano, of course, though, still the newest map to Hyperdash by a long shot. So it's really up in the air what any of these teams are going to have in store for that map. As far as strategy, playstyle wise, it's still a Wild West out here. So I'm curious to see how that is going to go down. And all that being said and out of the way, make sure you leave a like here on the stream, on the video. It helps spread awareness of this community that we all know and love so much. I know you guys are going to enjoy this about as much as I am. So show that appreciation down below. Maybe even subscribe to the channel too. We're almost at 1,000 already, 1,000 subscribers on the Dash League channel. And also, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this recorded, I'm sorry. You're going to have to just suck it up and maybe watch the chat in the back and try not to spoil things for yourself. But if you're watching this live, you can leave a vote for who you think is going to be taking this first map, whether that's Southern Cross or Supernova. So far, Southern Cross in the lead. No, now tied with Supernova as far as votes. We've got a dead even split on the votes here. Got some pretty even appreciation too. I have not gotten around to showing off Team Supernova just yet. Let me go ahead and do that. We've got Anonymous, Push, C2, Tyler. And we're still waiting on that 5th for Team Supernova. Of course, we're only 5 minutes past the start time here, so there's still plenty of time, another 5 minutes, for these teams to get their strat discussions in order. And before this match is forced to start, so Supernova will still be getting that 5th player in the lobby soon enough. We'll be able to take a look at them, but this is a pretty solid lineup for Supernova as well. C2, previously on Team Other, a Dasher team, was a very exceptional player on that team in his own right, so now playing on Supernova is going to be a player to watch for sure. Push has also had a very good showing as a captain this cycle over on Supernova, but it's since Supernova's going to be starting on... Oh, there we go, we've got their 5th player. Supernova has Mando in the lobby. Since we're going to be starting with Southern Cross on the blue team and Supernova on the red, watching how Supernova tries to set up these rockets, and the big question on my mind is whether they're going to have 2 Rocketeers set up here. That seems to be something that teams occasionally can go for the Launchpad, especially trying to have a little bit of a more constant rocket barrage rather than relying on one specific player to be survivable and still be able to hit the cart. Since pre-checkpoint at least, there's rockets within easy access of right next to the cart. You don't just have to get it from your spawn if you're red. Meanwhile, over on the blue team, the big struggle is going to be whether or not they can lock down that close pickup of the rocket once the cart starts to approach that area, or is Supernova, with the ping advantage, the speed, and possibly with 2 Rocketeers, going to be a little too difficult to catch out of position and take out. Another thing that I like to watch out for, especially on the pre-checkpoint, is how quick that house gets cleared out. That can be a very important telling of how well a team is going to play as blue, as the cart pusher, how quickly and efficiently they're able to clear out that house. If any red players survive in there, then the blue team has to split their focus. They have to look behind them, they have to look in front of them, and really that's not what you want to do. You want to stay focused forward and on and around that objective. And it seems like Supernova is actually swapping out Mando for Raptor Ryan, but now has their roster figured out, has all 5 of their players in, is just going to be finishing up the discussions here. Southern Cross, of course, staying with the same roster we covered towards the beginning of this, also having their discussions over in the bottom left screen there. It seems like Crashzone might be taking a peek out there. Southern Cross just now finishing their final strat talks and discussions. One interesting thing to note here is that Supernova is going for all the default skin here, trying to confuse their opponents, hopefully, whereas Southern Cross is going to be blinging out, absolutely showing off with all these special skins. And is that Banana Guns too? My favorite? Oh yeah, I love that. Who is that? Who is that? Let's go around the POV. Oh, it's Bueller, of course. Of course he's got my favorite pistol skin. The banana skin. I mean, it's just the best one. If you disagree with me, you can leave a comment about it, but I'll just have to downvote it because you're wrong, and the pistol skin's the best one, and I'm not going to be catching any flack about it. Let's see here. Supernova, still 1 minute left on the clock. I assume Southern Cross has given them their warning for them to start, and they, or at least Push, is leaving their spawn. Somebody else is trying to glitch out of the map right now, failing to do so. But it looks like both these teams are ready to go. So we'll be getting this match started shortly. Thumbs up from the red team, thumbs up from the blue team. Okay. Let's get this thing going. Or maybe they're just going to be having a little bit of a cheeky conversation or two. I mean, exchange some friendly pleasantries is nothing to complain about, so Or maybe Bueller is still having some issues with his headset. It looks like a couple times he's been frozen. Oh. Headset going on. Arms twisting. That's how you know they're getting their stuff together. And they really want to grab the drone. No, you can't, man. I have that feature disabled. Too bad. You're gonna just have to live with it. I just play a little bit of tag here. Alright. Enough messing around. Both teams ready to go. Push. With the mutators on. Starting the map. Southern Cross versus Supernova. Kicking off Cycle 6. First match of the cycle. Here we go. Let's take a look at these red team rollouts here. There's not going to be a whole lot to say about the blue team. Looks like Push is going to be going for the double shotguns. Anonymous grabbing that triangle dash. A lot of people going back. I don't know if that's something I totally agree with, because it takes so long to get back to that cart if you don't grab that dash that Anonymous just missed. So Supernova is going to be starting this map with only 3 players around in the house area. And Push gets taken out immediately. Now C2 and his teammate Anonymous, the only ones able to lock down the shield room, trying to create a little bit of a buffer for the rest of them to then flood into the house and take out the cart from behind. Good double kill there by C2. Very fast shooting, but Southern Cross able to follow up on the objective cleanly and stay together despite that rapid recovery by Supernova. So far, only 1 player flanking behind the cart. Universal does get taken out, and I'm going to turn on that on-dead switch as well. Fortunately, I did not have that on. Good kill by Universal there, too. I really like how all of Southern Cross is staying near this objective. They know that Supernova is going to be playing fast and loose with that ping difference, and Southern Cross really just has to go for a crossfire, get as many bullets out in front of them as possible. Now they have a ton of momentum, though. Hopefully they're going to capitalize on that before Push can make it to the cart. Push is now behind the objective and in the house. The Crash Zone gets a nasty bounce shot kill there, and now the cart is flying down this hill. Supernova still managing to sneak past and get some hits on the cart, but Crash Zone holding down the fort solidly. Good rocket hits the cart. Crash Zone's at half health, ready to hop off at a moment's notice, and now the cart has been wiped. That's 2 players down for Southern Cross, and it looks like Supernova is starting to get control of that house once again, and spawn camping Southern Cross as well. They are struggling to get back in this, losing a lot of time here. Unless they get some consistent cart movement here towards the bottom of this hill, which they might do with Bueller on the objective, they would otherwise be a little bit behind the time. But we're just about at the bottom of the hill, and Southern Cross is staying focused here, trying to keep the pressure on. But Supernova is now stacking on the cart with players like Raptor Ryan. Except when Axion flanks from behind and takes out your rockets without anybody calling it, and gets a 3rd kill as well, you're destined to start losing that objective momentum. C2 now is up with the rocket in the backline and Push as well. Did C2 go down? I think they did. Now it's just Push in the back, trying to keep hitting that cart consistently while the rest of his teammates pull the attention away. Meanwhile, we can see on the minimap that Southern Cross is struggling to make it through towards that objective together. They're just trying to rush forward as rapidly as they can and get kills as a group, depend on the fact that they can naturally group up together and push together rather than going for something more defined. And hopefully they're going to pull the attention of all these red players away from the objective enough that it's hard for them to get a solid setup. So far, that has been the case. A lot of fights in this shield room here, and for some reason on-dead switch not working. There we go. Now we've got that turned on. And it's staying on too. Okay, and now Raptor Ryan on the objective here. Does get taken out by a Southern Cross player, but Tyler trying to create a little bit of space brings Bueller down to low health. But Bueller is undeterred, moving through that shield room C2 does take out the low health player, but a tiny bit of cart movement was attempted there. Oh, good peek onto Axion there by C2. I really like how Supernova is stacking this objective. That is going to hurt Southern Cross in the long run if Supernova stays focused on hopping on that cart like Anonymous is doing now and preventing any sort of micro pushes. The one difficulty is when you're hopped on the cart, somebody from Southern Cross can go into your back line and try and take out your Rocketeer. You can see Supernova lost a little bit of ground there, but they didn't lose the cart, and so they didn't lose their hold, and they are staying laser focused on this objective as Southern Cross continues to fruitlessly try and roll through that shield room. Rembrandt has a good flank here, and so far, seems like he didn't get called out, but he didn't need to, with the Raptor Ryan staying focused there. Takes him out, and a lot of hopping around this objective here, a little bit of cart movement by Universal, but it seems like overall Southern Cross is just flooding in, and they're losing a lot of time because of it. They're still within reach of this cart, but they have to move forward all together like they're doing right now. Get those kills, take out those rockets as well, because Push is locked in on the cart, getting kill after kill, basically for free. As long as he's not pushed, he will push you. Now the Rockets got pushed back briefly, but there was nobody else on Southern Cross ready to follow up. Only 1 minute left on the clock, and Push is as consistent as ever. Very low health, but still locks in the second kill, leaves the rest for his teammates to clean up. And a shield on the cart too is exactly what you want to be seeing at this point in time. Kill after kill, Southern Cross trying to just hop onto that objective and get any sort of movement that they can, but as long as these rockets are up, I don't expect they're really going to get anything seriously done. 2 players on the cart taken out. This is just Push's game at the moment. I'm going to be changing the on-dead switch to teammate only. I want to see some of that Southern Cross POV as they group up in the shield room and down the main rail. Crashstone taken out again. They are getting some movement here, but Supernova staying good about stacking this card. Only 20 seconds left on the clock, and Push is still alive in front of this objective. Anonymous hopped on with the shield. I think Push has been pushed, and now Rembrandt with the shock tries to get a little bit of movement, but Push is still alive, still tomahawking that card, still eating up kill after kill from Southern Cross, who is going for the overtime, flooding through the main rail, barely gets the overtime here, gets a tiny bit of movement, but Southern Cross is all but wiped, and Supernova holds the pre-checkpoint. 37.99% is the hold, is the distance Supernova is trying to make to win this map. Of course, we are still in the middle of the cycle,
Prepare to start.
so it's not just about winning, it's also about how much for that MMR benefit. It seems like Universal is going to be going for a rocket here. Crash Zone moving forward for that far dash. Axion with that mid dash, and Staples, interestingly enough. Okay, Rembrandt with the shock, Bueller following up, I assume also with shocks. It'll be interesting to see how that is going to work out for the team in red. Let's get it started here.
Elimination.
First goes down, that is Crash Zone. Universal trying to hide next to the cart, but Tyler is used to that position and peeks it just in time. Cart briefly taken out, but Supernova is good about hopping off and on. We have Raptor Ryan on the objective here, double stacking with his teammate because Supernova is easily making plenty of space down this main rail. Good headshot by C2 as well. Southern Cross is going to have to change something up about their approach to moving forward when C2 is able to get that far into your base this early on. The cart is going to be flying for free, but Universal has gotten behind the objective, is trying to pull some attention away with those double rockets. Good kill on the cart once again, grabs the health. Another kill on the cart. Good rockets out of Universal. Nothing I would have ever expected out of him. He's obviously been practicing these because he is doing very well here, but now C2 is on the prowl, trying to make space for his team. Bueller in the right place at the right time, though, to get the kill there. And Southern Cross hopping on that objective, trying to pull attention away for some sort of rocketeering to get set up here. A lot of players flooding behind the cart, but Rembrandt still alive in the house. It looks like Axion got taken out, but no call out for Rembrandt means the cart does get wiped. There's 3 players around the objective. It's good the Supernova is grouped here, but there's still plenty of opportunity for Southern Cross to now hit that objective all at once. When they least expect it, Rocket's still up. The Crash Zone hopped onto the cart. A little bit of movement stopped. So far, Supernova's off to a decent pace, but if Universal's able to get a couple kills these next few lives, then they're actually going to be in a fairly stable position. So far, nobody on Supernova is seriously pushing these rockets. Tyler does get taken out. Shield a little bit early. Good kill by Push there, taking out the rockets. Now some free cart movement. Southern Cross, I think, is going to struggle to get some good stoppage on the objective here, although Bueller is making it work with that cover. Bottom of the hill at a standard pace, all things considered, but this is where it really counts. Universal gets taken out by a long shot by Push with those rockets. But this is where it really counts. How consistent is the objective movement going to be for Supernova now? They were able to fully group, but Universal got a sick double kill onto the cart. The cart is still moving. Supernova still has very good control here, but the long-range accuracy out of players like Bueller is fantastic, and Universal is killing it with the rockets here. The rest of his teammates very coordinated in hopping onto that objective so that the rockets can have time to hit it, but Supernova has been much better about pushing together than the team currently in red was when they were on the flip side of things. The cart has been single and double stacked consistently throughout this zone, only just now not even fully getting wiped. C2 still alive with one other teammate, gets a sick double charge shot, double kill on the objective, hops back for health, and now a party bus on the cart. That was 4 players, 2 of them getting taken out, but Supernova has won this map, and C2 is looking to make it through the checkpoint with over 2 minutes left on the clock. These pushes by Supernova have been very difficult for Southern Cross to hold back, and now they have made it through the checkpoint. It is going to be a long stretch towards that 100% mark, but Supernova is well on their way to making it with no red players behind them to hold them back, and some good double and triple stacking on the objective here. Axion goes in for the kill, a hop off of the objective, but all these Southern Cross players together is very dangerous for the team in blue to contend with. C2 currently seems to be on a roll, taking these players out, but is not even the top killer on his team. Currently that is Push with 46 kills and 47 kills and 19 deaths, and now C2 going to be holding down the triangle room, assisted by his teammate, who Tyler is going to be following up on the main rail, trying to get a kill on Bueller. Bueller does take him out with the rockets though, and takes himself out as well, going to be rolling out towards this objective, which is now getting hit. You can see in the bottom left corner that somebody over on Southern Cross, that seems like was Universal and Crash Zone, were wiping that cart. Good kill on Bueller mid-dash. Tyler now going to be trying to help C2 hold the triangle room. That seems to be a keystone of Supernova's strategy at the moment, and it is going well so far. Good kill on Bueller once again. Takes basically no shots. Tyler is still alive with half of his health. The cart is still untouched as it makes its way up the hill, only getting stopped in this earlier straightaway. And now Tyler disrupting all the way into the spawn, does eventually get punished for it, and hopefully Southern Cross is going to be able to group up and hit this objective, because the way things are currently going, rolling in one at a time like Southern Cross has been doing is not going to work. This hold by Supernova is too solid, and the follow-up by them as well, too good at making these Southern Cross players waste their dashes, going for different approaches when they're not ready. Crash Zone gets taken out, does get a trade kill there, but the cart is still moving, and Raptor Ryan still full health on that objective, peeks out the side to try and get another kill because he's getting flanked. Good kill by Bueller, and now Southern Cross almost has control of the objective, now has full control of the objective, but Supernova all died at the same time. That means their group up is essentially free. They don't really have to call any sort of coordinated hold or push. They just all roll forward at once, and you can see the cart is rolling forward at once as a result. Rembrandt did try to get a clear on that objective, did get 2 kills to boot, and Crash Zone now following up, has control of the outside of triangle. Are they going to hold it, or are they going to overextend? So far, Supernova going for that main rail is going to mesh with Crash Zone just a little bit here. But Supernova now is going for a full group. C2 rolls down the main rail, gets punished for it, which he absolutely should. You shouldn't be riding that main rail with no control of the objective. But Supernova, it seems like, barely had to actually push all at once. All they really needed to do was roll forward towards that objective at approximately the same time, and they would still get some cart movement. There's still 5 minutes left on the clock, and they're still getting micro pushes just flooding down that main rail. They've realized that Southern Cross is struggling to set up any sort of solid hold with the way the Supernova is playing at this moment in time, so they just need one person at the cart at a time, on the cart at a time. And if every player on Supernova gets at least one kill, occasionally some of them will get two, and they'll be able to continue to move the objective consistently, despite what a huge spawn advantage Southern Cross has at this moment of time. Undoubtedly, a factor playing into this is the fact that Supernova is going to be a little bit harder to hit, much harder to hit, in fact, than Southern Cross because of that ping difference. But you can't always win 3v1 fights like that, C2, even with a ping advantage. And C2 does get taken out. Axion hopping on the objective finally dies after getting no shots, even though they were right up close. You can see what a huge factor it can play into this. C2 rolling down the main rail, tries to crouch onto that cart, does get punished for it once again. This cart stacking out of Southern Cross is finally starting to bear fruit, and I think Supernova is going to struggle to get serious movement at this point as long as Southern Cross doesn't completely respect their space. With Universal in the triangle room, it seems like that is the case. Get at least one kill, slow up that push just enough that when the rest of you respawn, you can hold that objective despite how difficult it can be to hit players. And this consistent cart stacking out of Southern Cross is definitely helping out too. Good hop onto the objective there by Push. Good double kill by Push, and now a double push by Push and his teammate. A lot of pushing going on, and Push has been pushed out back to the blue team spawn. But the fact that blue team, with 3 minutes left on the clock, is almost around that corner fully and is still well protected from the red team spawn is going to be a surefire sign that they're going to make it to the 100% mark. At this point, it's almost a matter of time. But because blue, once they start hopping onto that objective, is going to be protected from the red team spawn and using a shield as well, means it's going to be very difficult for Southern Cross to hop onto that objective and get kills in time. And that Raptor Ryan combo with his teammate who had the shield was absolutely killer. There was death after death out of the blue team. And the cart stayed rolling that whole time, and Tyler still wrecking havoc over in the red team's spawn, still alive by himself. More than enough time for the rest of Supernova to now flood in before Southern Cross has had a moment to breathe. The shocks on the cart too tried to get a clear, but pushed forward just a little too far. That was a fantastic push out of Supernova. They just couldn't quite bring their weaponry to bear in a coordinated enough manner to actually stop this objective. And now Southern Cross really just playing for time. 2 minutes left on the clock. Raptor Ryan still alive on the objective. The rest of Supernova flooding in one by one, and Anonymous gets the final push. Just barely over 2 minutes left on the clock, and they make it through that checkpoint. Let's go ahead and take a look at the scores here. For the team in red, Southern Cross, top killer and scorer for their team was Universal, 51 kills, 59 deaths, 5,800 score on Supernova. Top killer, no, second from the top killer is going to be C2, 62 kills, 40 deaths, 7,700 score, very impressive. But Tyler just barely winning out there with 64, and C2, was the third from the top. Push got 63. They are neck and neck, kill for kill there. Well done, y'all. Just head back to the main scene here. We will be changing servers, so I'm going to be hopping over to the waiting screen, but I will see you all in the next server soon enough. Okay, we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are now in the lobby here for map 2. I am sure that the way that last map went, that Southern Cross is rearing to go with the ping advantage in their favor now. I'm at almost 300 ping on the Sydney server, but I'm expecting some nasty plays out of Southern Cross. Despite how much of a thrashing they got on that objective, they still did very well, considering they didn't have Rapscallion, their main Rocketeer there. Universal really surprised me coming in clutch. I'm very impressed with the way that Southern Cross played that map. But Supernova's a team of absolute killers, and they proved that here today, taking that Launchpad very solidly and playing together like a unit. Knows exactly when to group, when to just flood forward. That was some very impressive play out of Supernova. Southern Cross, even though they have the advantage on this next server, still going to have a bit to contend with, especially with players like Anonymous and C2, some very fast players are going to do very well on this Volcano. Volcano, of course, though, when you respawn, here's the little quirk about Volcano. When you respawn, you are 4 dashes away from any button. And you might say that that's the same thing over on Quarry. No, no, no. You are 4 dashes away from any button, and you feel it. On Quarry, from your home button, you can get there in 4 dashes, but you can get real close in 3 and have a chance to kill somebody who's holding it. On Volcano, you really have to have a strategy for how to counter and get buttons back and not get into a position where you are nearly team wiped with your only teammates left out of position. That is something that seems to be developing in the meta now as far as I can see it, and I'm interested to see how Supernova and Southern Cross are going to work to solve that problem. We do have a little bit of time in between maps, however, so go ahead and leave a like down below if you haven't already, and also a vote in the poll for those watching this live. I'm interested to see who the rest of you think is going to be taking this second map, whether you have any sort of secret insight to one team or another that I don't, or if you're just going to be going with the ping difference. Oftentimes, the winner of a map tends to be the opposite of what the chat votes, so I'm interested to see how the balance is going to swing here today. A little bit of strategery talkery out of both Supernova and Universal. I like the standing on the table method here that he's going for. Trying to give the main talks. Are Supernova just trying to get out of the map? What is going on in the bottom left corner? Okay, I think that was just Tyler maybe messing around. Fair enough. Once again, I've said this just about every cast, but I can't express enough how much I enjoy VR competitive games and the expressiveness that you can see out of players. Even if you can't hear them talk or hear what they're doing, you can just see the personality oozing out of every player who hops into a VR game like this that is so movement based and stylized like this, where it's very clear to see the movements. They're very fluid as well, and it's just I like it so much more as far as competition and fun goes than just about any PC or console game, because of that, because of how expressive you can be even with these regular old plain robot skins. Even without any sort of specific customization, everybody still has their own unique personality and just the way that they move and talk to other people. It's so interesting to me. And you can see C2 in the bottom left corner is ready to go and letting Southern Cross know that fact. Supernova has finished their discussion. It seems like Southern Cross is going to be trying to lock something in for this Volcano. Maybe they're switching something up based on what they saw On that Launchpad, frankly, I'm not super surprised that they're having a little bit of a longer discussion here and trying to change something up, even though it is completely different map and completely different servers as well. There's still a lot of things that can be worth discussing, that are worth carrying over what one player or another needs to change or alter about their general play style, what you think your opponents might try to do in a way that you hadn't thought of ahead of time until actually playing them in the match. All important considerations here. But that being said, Supernova's ready to go, and based on the bottom right screen, it seems like Southern Cross ready to go as well. So I will just have the drone out here letting them know that the drone is ready to go as well, trying not to be too repetitious. But repetition is the way of things, and if you're not happy with repetition, then this game is not the game for you. This is a game about slight alterations to what you do each life, trying to make each life count, but having several lives, one after another. This is such a quick time to kill game. It is not common for players to survive a long time in an active fight. I'm not sure why they're still waiting for me to signal. I've already wiggled the drone around, but alright, here we go. Now we are starting the Volcano. Southern Cross going to be the team in blue for today.
2, 1.
Team in red, of
Go.
course, going to be Supernova.
Blue
Bueller
takes C.
gets that first button, grabs that dash just before
First
that other player who is
elimination.
trying to counter him, and Southern Cross has
Red
2
takes
players
C.
in the B button, but
Countered.
a attempted countdown for Southern Cross. They do not have control of their own base, however, a bit of a fight in this flex flank here. Crash Zone hits their own button, takes out Tyler as well. Now Southern Cross has control of their own base, but has lost B. There's so many red players at B, but Southern Cross does get a countdown here.
Blue takes
A little bit of a fight back at their own base. C2
Countered.
holding things down, gets taken out by Axion though. That was a brief countdown for Supernova, but it seems like they've been able to take the spawn dash away from Southern Cross over and over. I wonder if Universal is aware of what a precarious position he's in. Right now, there are no Supernova players around him, but very shortly he's going to find that Push is aware of Universal's position and is going to grab the dash from him and then flank him, trying to force him into a confrontation that he is going to lose. Good kill there out of Push. And now it's 2 buttons for the team in red. Southern Cross still contesting that B button. A brief countdown for Supernova does get countered, however, and Tyler is trying to hold down the base, but Crash Zone good enough about peeking those corners, along with Universal, who's going to be trying to hold down Supernova's base by himself. So far able to do so, but C2 follows up on the objective. Good kill by Bueller, taking out Raptor Ryan and getting control of your own base once again. But over and over we see these fights over at the spawn dash on Southern Cross's side that are allowing Supernova to push into Southern Cross's base. It seems like Universal's pretty consistently able to make it back to this objective, but so is Supernova. Both teams struggling to hold their own base. That seems to be the place to counter, and you can see on the mini-map that Supernova sending 3 people through their own base just to try and get control of this dash here is a huge part of their strategy. A countdown for Southern Cross is going to go nowhere. There are too many players around the B button for the team in red. Most of red team has been taken out. A brief countdown thankfully gets countered, thankfully for Supernova that is. Now the rest of the team can respawn, but that was a very dangerous moment for Supernova to be in. Axion's still alive at the button, does get flanked though and wiped, but Crash Zone following up on her sister goes for the button. Is Southern Cross going to get their own button soon enough? No, Raptor Ryan gets the kill there, gets their base back. Universal back in Supernova's base once again. But Raptor Ryan going for the counter and the countdown for Supernova. Southern Cross has had a lot of players focused on this B button. Once again, they realize that a lot of the fights and countdowns have been lost at those B buttons recently. Raptor Ryan doing a good job of sticking with his teammate for that crossfire, and now Southern Cross is struggling to get back into their own base. Luckily for them, Universal is still alive in Supernova's base, trying to just play for time here. Does get taken out, but no countdown for Southern Cross or for Supernova. Southern Cross currently has control of B, but I expect Push is going to be making his way in alongside Anonymous towards that B button. Good kill by Axion, however, on the objective. Is going to be locking down this hallway as well, trying to hold B from this position. This is a very good position to hold B in. If you actually hold the objective in the corners, just because you have a ping advantage doesn't mean you can fully rely on it. Sometimes you can still get peekers. Oh, there's only one Southern Cross player left alive, and C2 holds the button and takes them out. That is the first point for Supernova. C2 rightfully cheering that on. That was a good hold there onto the button. And now, Southern Cross on the back foot. How are they going to respond? Axion making her way towards the button, and of course it seems Universal is the one pushing forward by himself towards Supernova. Supernova has control of their own button and of Southern Cross, so Southern Cross only just now getting it back, but has to put a lot of players down towards that objective to focus it in. All of Supernova getting wiped does mean that they're all together on the push forward. I don't think Axion has realized that Push was about to flank her. But Mueller is still at the button, wins the fight against Raptor Ryan, and is able to get his base back for free, grabs that dash, makes their way towards the B button. Anonymous alive with the rockets, though. This is interesting. Does not live long enough to keep it interesting, however, and Tyler is dead as well. A lot of these Supernova players like C2 and Push are going to be making their way towards B from flanking angles. C2 holding down their base in the meantime, while the rest of Supernova flows in towards that B button. C2 has given away their position, is trying to play for kills, though, because they were stuck too far forward. Does get taken out by Universal. Supernova does get a countdown, though. Good counter on the B button by Southern Cross, but I don't think that is going to turn into any sort of serious point. That's just trying to put the pressure on Southern Cross. Southern Cross very good at the back and forth ebb and flow so far of this map of the B button control. They have not held control of the B button for long, but they've been able to take it back with relative ease, and Universal is consistently, no, that's Bueller, able to make it into Supernova's base. Does get taken out. Axion gets flanked as well. Supernova is the one in control, but is anybody watching for Crash Zone, ready to counter onto B? Red team countdown, but Crash Zone moves back and Push holds the button. Supernova gets a second point. Crash Zone was not able to hit the button in time, turned around towards her own base instead of going towards B. And that split second change in decision making, and that split second with the button is why Supernova has the second point already. The pressure is on with just barely under 18 minutes left. Still plenty of time for this match to turn around, but Supernova already getting a countdown. They are on a roll currently. Universal wins the fight. The C2 follows up. And now, Supernova still has control of Southern Cross's base. Southern Cross trying to flood in towards that B button, is losing fight after fight. Good kill there by Crash Zone, but Raptor Ryan able to follow up. And Supernova seems to have locked in their strategy now of holding the B button. They just need to get their own base back, and it doesn't seem like anybody is particularly assigned to do so. Universal almost wins that fight there, but does get flanked by Anonymous. There's still 2 Southern Cross players left alive at Supernova's base, and Push is on the hunt. Gets one of them, but isn't aware of the second. And now, even though Supernova has had control of B and their own, and Southern Cross's base for what feels like a millennia at this point. They're still not able to get a point. Southern Cross now has Supernova's base and their own, and despite how many Supernova players were alive in that Southern Cross base, there was a countdown for Southern Cross, actually. It seems like Supernova has almost too much attention on one button here, and Southern Cross gets a chance at a countdown. There were a lot of Supernova players left alive, though, just about in position enough to get the counter there comfortably. But Southern Cross looking for their first point. Rembrandt does not hold the button, however, and that brief distraction does lose him the fight as Raptor Ryan gets control there.
Red takes B.
Rembrandt making his way
Blue takes
towards
B.
Supernova, keeps the rockets, takes out Raptor Ryan, who is staying too still, gave away their position with those rockets.
Blue takes
Rembrandt
B.
had not gotten flanked. He might actually have won
Red
that fight. That
takes
was
B.
very impressive movement there.
Blue
But
takes
Supernova is
B.
in position to try locking down that dash.
Red takes
Does have
B.
control of B for the moment, has the positional advantage, and Push is making his way forward. The dash has been taken though, so he's going to have to bide his time before, pushing in. And Axion peeks where he's standing. The dash is up, but Push
Red
is
takes
not.
A. Red
Supernova
team
with a
scores
countdown.
3.
Is Southern Cross going to be able to
Red
counter
team
on the B
scores
button?
3.
Bueller
Countered.
says yes,
Red
but does get
takes
taken
B.
out by C2.
Red
Southern Cross,
takes
though,
A.
given more than enough time for Crashstone to counter
Blue
back
takes B.
at their own base.
Blue
Supernova has
takes
had
B.
some pretty solid
takes
control of
B.
B, all things considered.
Red team
Southern
countered.
Cross has been on the
Red
back
team
foot, trying to
scores.
counter
Countered.
every which way,
Red
and
takes
now
B.
Supernova is flooding in towards that B button.
Red takes
Push
B.
does get another kill
Blue takes
there
B.
on the objective, finally taken out by Universal, who, along with Rembrandt, seems to be trying to find a way to breach this wall of bodies that Supernova has been putting up in all the right places. Good kill by C2, however, making his way towards the B button, takes out Rembrandt as well. And now Push still alive. It seems like Supernova has figured out just how much locking down that dash can play a difference, but a sick bounce shot there by Bueller does take
Blue
out
takes
that
B.
last forward by Supernova, and now Southern Cross is
Blue
able to
team
flood
countered.
forward
Blue
and gets
team
another
scored.
countdown. Universal
Countered.
trying to play for attention
Red
and for
takes
time,
B.
so that hopefully
takes
he can
B.
pull players like C2 away from that objective. However, C2 does just about win
Blue
that
takes
fight.
B.
That was a very important fight there. If
takes
Universal had
B.
stayed
Red
alive
team
in
scores.
Supernova's base, they would not be in
Red
position to be
team
getting
scores.
another
3.
countdown here with only
Counter.
2 Southern Cross
Counter.
players left alive. They do counter, but Tyler misses the
Red
button
team
twice in a row.
scores. 3.
Plenty of Southern Cross players left
Counter.
alive, but are they in
Red
position
team
to get
score.
the counter
Counter.
there? Yes, they are. Comfortably. Comfortably. And now it is Crashstone trying to hold back the counter push. They do so.
Blue team
And a
scores.
countdown for Southern Cross does not turn into a point, however. Bueller holds the button just a little too late. Somehow Anonymous keeps sneaking his hand in there. And a nearly full wipe on the team in blue means Raptor Ryan has plenty of time to set up with armor
Blue takes
and
C.
dual
Red
staples.
team
Excuse me.
Blue
C2.
takes B.
Not able to win that 4v1. That seems like a little bit of a skill issue in my opinion, but I'll grant him that one loss for now. C2 does lose the 1v1 there against Rembrandt, though, who was locked in and
Blue
ready
takes B.
while pushing forward.
Red
C2 going to
takes
peek that
B.
corner, though. That was not a good place to hide. And now C2 has a dash as well as the
Blue
confidence
takes B.
of a kill.
Red takes
Supernova
B.
gets control of their own base and of B as
Red
C2 moves
team
forward to start the
scores.
countdown
3.
timer. Gets a kill on Bueller. Is not going to be
Red
holding that
team
button, though. Knows
countered.
from past experience that they cannot be winning
Blue
those
takes
group
C.
fights, or at least not
Red
expecting to win them
countered. Blue
easily.
takes C.
Another countdown for Supernova turns into no point once again for Supernova, and now Universal moving forward towards that dash, gets the kill, but does not get it in time to take the dash. That would have been very helpful moving in towards Supernova's
Blue
button,
takes A.
and Universal is going to be very much expecting somebody to counter him, but so far nobody is taking the bait. C2 does get taken out, but
Red
only
takes
because they
C.
got shot. Supernova so
Blue
far is
takes
just
B.
locked in, trying to move forward. Axion trying to hold a flanking position here. It works out beautifully as C2 has died multiple times in a row. That is a good kill there. Southern Cross with the countdown does get countered in their own base and is losing the fight. Supernova's base is not going to turn into a point. Now there's 11 minutes and 41 seconds left on the clock, and Southern Cross has a decent presence at the B button. But these players are dropping one after another, and Southern Cross is just not quite able to hold the momentum they need to get forward towards Supernova's base without some Supernova players being out of position in Southern Cross's base, for example. That is something that is really hurting Southern Cross and something that Supernova is able to do fairly well. They have a player forward in their own base. They have a player in Southern Cross's base, sometimes two as well, and then they just hold that B button and get some countdowns. A lot of these haven't turned into points, but really you only need to get lucky 3 times before you win the map, and so far Supernova has gotten fairly lucky twice. And that is why they are ahead 2 points to nil. Having that positional advantage and strategy along with a little bit of luck on the timing of things is what's going to help you out here. Good peek by Axion. Does lose the second fight there due to low health. Good kill by Raptor Ryan. And now Rembrandt trying to make his way into the B button, hits the objective. A countdown does get countered there. Universal in Supernova's base once again, just trying to play for kills and play for time and play for attention. Only one player on Supernova is going to be taking the bait. I wonder if Universal knows where they're coming from. Good headshot there onto push, and now Anonymous going to be helping out, but Universal is on an absolute tear at the moment. Supernova has some solid control of their own base, but Push is pushing in solo, and Axion is helping out as well. But Southern Cross has no presence on the B button. C2 is left completely alone. Only Crash Zone hopping in to try and counter. A countdown for Southern Cross is happening, but Supernova is countering every which way. There's nobody on Southern Cross, able to contend with Tyler at this moment in time. And now it is Rembrandt on the button, ready to go.
Blue takes B. Red takes B. Red takes B. Blue takes B. Red takes A. Blue takes C.
Excuse me, now Bueller on the B button trying to hold down this objective. Does lose the fight against Push, but Push loses the fight against himself. There is nearly a countdown for Southern Cross, but Universal did not have that button held. Is trying to pull attention away, but it seems like C2 was locked in on that objective. That distraction dashing by Universal did not deter him from hitting the button. That would have been huge, though. Universal does win the follow-up fight, though, in a little bit of a comedic fashion. Is now watching that dash, but the players respawning. Gets one kill, almost gets a second, but is Supernova going to be able to counter on B? Oh, barely counters on B. That would have been a sick first point for Southern Cross, but this is definitely not going to turn into a point. There are too many Supernova players alive in all different positions of the map, whereas Southern Cross is all grouped up around that B button and all rolling forward towards Supernova's base. There are 5 players here. Are they going to be rolling forward towards anything else? Yes, they do turn around towards B, and Universal by himself at the B button. The rest of Southern Cross is going to be following up, but it seems like a full 3 players on Southern Cross are trying to hold down Supernova's base and pull attention away, but these two, Tyler and C2, these 2 players able to comfortably get the counters on Southern Cross's base, and C2 now has that route that Universal loves so much locked in and knows what to expect. Other Supernova players stealing that dash, trying to whittle down the dashes remaining of these other Southern Cross players, and C2 going for a little bit of a hidey spot at the spawn. I don't know if it's going to work out, though, because there's no Southern Cross players revealing themselves. He does grab the dash, though. He hits the button, and he goes to flank Universal. Once again, barely gets the kill there on Universal. Axion does take him out, and Raptor Ryan
Red
takes
team
her out,
scores
and now
counter.
Supernova with a countdown.
Red
Plenty
team,
of Southern
red
Cross
team,
players still
count-
alive.
red
Now down to
team,
3
score
left alive.
counter.
Rembrandt,
Blue
Universal,
team,
and
counter.
Crash Zone get some
Red
counters, but
takes
C2
A.
is still alive at their own
Blue
base,
takes
rolling
C.
forward, trying to get Southern Cross's
Red
dash. He
takes
does get it,
B.
and is going
Red
for
team
the countdown.
scores
And Southern Cross's base
2,
wins the fight against Axion, goes for the button hold,
Red
and
team
Supernova
wins.
gets the 3rd point and wins the 2nd map. They win both maps, and this match is over. I'm sure C2 is real excited about that 2nd button hold there. That was very well done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the scores here for Supernova. Top score is Raptor Ryan with 1,700 score. A lot of button hits out of him. Over on Southern Cross, top score is Rembrandt, 14,000 score there. Top killer over on Southern Cross, to no surprise, Universal, 43 kills, but Tyler with 63 over on Supernova. Very, very impressive. That was very well done by Supernova, taking that 2nd map 3-0. Now this match is over. I have been Notgollum once again. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.